Well, here we are. I'm back. I'm doing a dive into Pat Sabatini today, and I am really impressed with this guy's grappling and riding ability against the fence. So we're going to go through a couple clips from Pat Sabatini, what I learned from this guy, and what I think maybe his opponents could have done better, or some of the distinct things I think that he does in order to just be so good at what he does. So let's start at this first clip. This is with his most recent fight against TJ Laramie, and there are some gems in these sequences. So the first thing is he's here. He's got one hook in, throws in the second hook. TJ Laramie falls to his back. Now what I want to note is his decision here. Watch this. He revokes his own hook. See that right hook, the one that's cage side? He revokes that hook. He prefers not to have that hook when he's riding. And the reason for this is you control people really well with cross-body control. So he's got control over this hip of TJ Laramie and this shoulder/wrist of TJ Laramie as well. And the cross-body control, this knee is not allowing his hip to come towards the mats. And this wrist is not allowing his shoulders. So, yeah, because of the grip on the wrist, TJ is not able to belly out. And because of the knee staple here between Laramie's two knees, Laramie is not able to turtle either. And that is how you effectively control somebody. You don't let them go left or right. Now, if Pat was to elect having two hooks in a seatbelt grip, then wherever TJ would go, he would go. And although that would make him stick to him, it wouldn't pin Laramie. And that's really what you want to do in MMA. You want to pin people, hold them down, not let them go left, not let them go right, not let them get up. You don't want to let them guard if they want to guard. You don't want to let them turtle if they want to turtle. You want to deny whatever they want. And this cross-body control where you go with one hip and one wrist/shoulder is so effective. I'm a huge fan of it. And yes, because I've been so distinct on the single leg, we got this clip from his fight with TJ Laramie, which is just absolutely beautiful. And then how he gets right into this ride position after is like beautiful. I love this. So the lesson from this is why you got to get your hands involved when you're defending the single leg. You can't let him do these transitions. And the way that you deal with that, in my opinion, is simply a wrist grip. TJ is very light with his leg right here. He's essentially letting Pat do this transition, and his right hand isn't doing anything. Now, who am I to criticize TJ Laramie? TJ Laramie is infinitely better than I am. I'm a 2-0 amateur. Like, I suck at this. I suck, but I have to come to some sort of conclusion about this if I want to get better. So this is the one that I'm coming to for now. I really think the wrist grip when we're early on this single leg is going to help a lot. And then really jamming that foot between his two knees. You shouldn't be letting somebody pull your foot across the body, really. If anything, maybe Laramie's not able to circle in this direction because of Pat's knee, and that would add another element to it as well. But generally speaking, I'd like to see Laramie's foot either between Pat's two legs, like so, or as a shin whizzer across, so where his foot is over here and over on this side, and the shin is going across. That's ideal position. In addition to that, I like to see him have a wrist grip and potentially an overhook or a collar tie. This is just like this isn't even a frame. It's not a frame nor a grip. His hand is just on the back of his head. It's not really accomplishing anything other than maybe helping Laramie get his balance. But what I also want to note is this beautiful transition to this ride control that he's doing. And basically, once he takes somebody down, he's looking to see which knee that they're going to put against the fence. And you can tell that because of the hip that they turn on. So whenever somebody does a technical get up or a get up, they always turn on a hip, which Laramie has demonstrated here. Laramie has turned onto his left hip. So you're going to see him slide his left shin, to the wall. Like so, which just happened in that maneuver. Let me slow that down. You see this? Because he's on his left hip, his left shin is going to circle. So what he's going to do is Pat is going to circle symmetrically with this. And as that shin comes in, he's going to go to his right and he's going to put in that hook. Okay. Now, something that I really like is once Pat Sabatini takes his toes and hooks it around Laramie's shin. I really like it when that happens. And Pat doesn't do it all the time. I've noticed Arman Sarukian has been doing it. I've noticed a lot of guys, when they get in this position, they do it. I don't know why Pat doesn't do it sometimes and does do it sometimes. I haven't quite figured out like what the detail is that determines whether you should do it or not. But generally, when I'm in the gym and I'm in this position, I like to do this. Okay. Another thing I like to do is I like to take my other foot and do what's called a Hodger hook underneath of Laramie's other shin, right around the ankle. And that's because I just like to lift that ankle just an inch off the mat because he loses a lot of his drive power. But this is just a beautiful sequence for Laramie to go and get that hook in right away. Now the goal is to break him down to an elbow. So he's just being really top heavy here on his shoulders. There's a ton of weight on Laramie's wrist, and there you go. He gets it. So eventually, Laramie is gonna have to do some sort of fighting, something with that hand. And Laramie decides he wants to try and break the seatbelt. In doing so, he gives up the wrist ride. And once that wrist ride is given up, it's clean game for Pat Sabatini to start his ground and pound because he's broken him down to an elbow, and sometimes you can even get them down to a shoulder. Okay, and from right now, Laramie is being a bit of a pest because he has control of Pat Sabatini's right wrist, and he has it torqued in this awkward position, uncomfortable position for Pat's shoulder, but that is not going to stop Pat. He wasn't able to hold on to it forever, and Sabatini was able to ground and pound him. Now, this was my favorite thing that I learned from this fight. That I'm stealing this 100%. This dilemma that Pat Sabatini does is just fantastic. Let's break it down. It's all in the footwork with this one, my G. So, Pat Sabatini, behind his opponent, he's going to go ahead and he's going to fight to insert that hook. Now, TJ Laramie really wants to have elbow and knee connection. As you can see, Laramie's right knee and his right elbow are connected. That's to deal with the hook, okay? But it looks like Pat Sabatini doesn't give a damn about that hook, especially once you get really. It doesn't give a damn about that elbow knee connection, especially once you get really top heavy, and you can see Pat's shoulder is right over Laramie's shoulder. He's really encouraging Laramie to put his hand on the mat, which he does. Okay, and now once Pat starts getting this hook, Laramie is going to try and pummel with his right leg. So he's going to kick his right leg back just as he did. And what he wants to do is bring it back into the stature that it was right here. This is where Laramie prefers to be. He doesn't want Pat to get this hook in as he is. So the way that Laramie is going to react to this, which he has to do, is to pummel. And how he does that pummeling, it's a straightening of his leg and then bringing it back. However, what Pat does with his left leg is absolutely beautiful here, okay? Let's have a look at it. So, Pat goes to pummel. Watch Pat's left leg, the guy on top with the blue shorts. Watch what he does. He drops to a knee, and he hooks onto Laramie's foot here. And then see this little hip rotation that he's doing, where he's getting a little bit more perpendicular. See this body movement Pat is doing right here? That is reaping Laramie's knee. It's twisting Laramie's hip in an exterior motion, and that takes away a lot of power and ruins your chances of getting up. It's going to be extremely difficult to get up there. Now, Laramie is able to still bring the knee in, but then Pat goes and does the exact same thing. He goes and he starts inserting. He gets really top heavy, which is tempting to make Laramie put his hands on the mat. He starts to go, putting the hook in. Laramie responds, but he catches it. So it's important for Pat Sabatini to get his left knee onto the mat and to be hooking onto Laramie's foot like so. Now he can start reaping the knee, reaping the hip a little bit, which is only making things even more uncomfortable for TJ Laramie. It was my favorite, my absolute favorite thing that I learned here. And now once Pat is ready, watch what he does. Gradually, and he goes right foot first because he wants to retain control of Laramie's right leg. Right leg first, he steps in. And then he starts to ride. Now, Laramie is getting definitely a little bit frustrated here with this. Doesn't want to lose the round. Laramie elects to go to his back. I think it was a good decision, to tell you the truth. I think he had to try it for sure. But the right arm of Pat Sabatini is in perfect place to just steal that underhook. And there was no pummeling that TJ Laramie was going to do. And once Pat had that underhook, it was going to be hard for Laramie to stop this move to mount. Now, the only thing Laramie could have done was try and free his right knee to a certain degree, that that knee and elbow connection that we were talking about earlier could insert right here. Here was his opportunity. If Pat Sabatini's knee had been an inch higher, TJ Laramie would have been able to insert his knee up towards Pat Sabatini's ribs. Okay, this would have given him some elevation possibility with his right leg. His right leg could do a leg extension, done with the quads, not with the glutes. Okay, which would have been sending Pat Sabatini overhead in this direction. What this would have caused him to do is base out with his hands, potentially this overhooking hand, maybe the other one, it's hard to say, but nevertheless, from there, TJ Laramie might have been able to pummel with the left leg as he was off balancing with the right leg. But in order to do that, he would have needed inside position with his right leg, which he didn't get. He was unsuccessful by 1 inch. Pat Sabatini gets the knee down, steals the underhook, and immediately takes mount. Laramie responds to the mount by giving up the back and trying to fight the hands, fight the seatbelt. But Laramie just keeps that same hook, and Pat keeps the same hook, and then he goes straight back to the wrist ride, keeping Laramie in this for the remainder of the round. I think he held him there for the rest of the round, which is nuts. Let's look at his fight with, I think his name was Tucker Loltz. Let's look at what we learned here. This was a beautiful sequence. Pat Sabatini's a bad man. Let's have a look. So, exactly what I was talking about previously with TJ Laramie. You can see Tucker is leaning on his left hip. Okay, you can see that his left shin, is the one that's on the floor. The left shin is going to be the one that's doing the sliding. So, Sabatini, he's high with his hips. He's got his knees bent a little bit. He's ready to be dynamic. He's ready to move. This second that Tucker starts to do his transition, Pat Sabatini circles. Look at him move that ass. He moves that ass to the side. Boom. He comes out the back. Tucker gave up on the overhook. He didn't go for the overhook. I don't know if it was going to make any difference or not, but he gave up on the overhook. And now look at this. Sabatini's got the hook on. Even though Tucker's coming to standing, right now, Tucker's bearing Pat Sabatini's weight. He's not able to effectively hand fight. The hands are almost hidden underneath of Tucker's left armpit. He can't hand fight. He can't. There's not a lot he could do. Maybe he could try and do some sort of switch movement. I really don't know. But all I know is Pat Sabatini revokes the hook. He kicks the calf. He opens. He widens his stance. He squares his hips up with the fence, and he does this simple outside trip, entirely done with the left leg, and he pulls him down, follows him to the fence, throws in. Does he throw in the left? Throws in the left hook, exactly. Look at that. And in this occasion, he is doing that hook as I was talking about before. I feel like it might have to do with the angle of the leg. Is the foot underneath of the knee? How far is the foot from the other foot? And things of that nature. But from here, now he's got a free hand to ground and pound. Absolutely beautiful sequence from Pat Sabatini. Now here he is, top side control. I love this move. I used to teach this move all the time. Granville Ferry, BJJ, the boys know. The underhook escape, and you take the guillotine. It forces him to roll to the back. You can get on top. This was a beautiful sequence from Pat Sabatini. This is something I do in the gym all the time. I finish guys in the gym with this all the time. Pat Sabatini, I know something you don't. I got something to teach you. Don't watch this video. I don't want you messing things up in my division. My boy Gavin Tucker is in that division. He's going to whip your ass. Anyway, Pat Sabatini, he goes for the guillotine. Guys, if you can't get the guillotine from here and you have to switch to mount, you have to take a chin pick for the finish. Pat Sabatini, I want to see Pat Sabatini's fingers underneath of the chin. I want to see him gripping the chin with a thumb on one side and 4 fingers on the other. A one-handed guillotine is easier to finish from the mounted position than any other form of guillotine. I'm writing that down in stone. I believe in this. And that might have to do, there may be some metrics involved in this, like perhaps the longer the arms you are, the more valuable the chin pick is. If you have shorter arms, it's okay for you to go all the way through, or vice versa. I don't know. I'm not sure. I only know what works for my sized arms against the average sized neck. And when I chin pick people for my mounted guillotine, they tap. So that's a transition that you've got to do right here, right here. I switch right here to a chin pick, and I finish it from there. Now this is nice. He does this little step over here, right, where he can start threatening the triangle, but he understands the dangers that can come with like the potential escapes. So he revokes that, and then he just comes to mount, which I think was a beautiful decision. Now let's look at what Pat Sabatini does once he gets up, because I thought I learned something from this too, and there was a missed opportunity here from Tucker Lutz. But ultimately, Pat Sabatini he's holding onto the head until he's ready to get up. He places that hand on the mat. You're gonna have to do that, and he does that same similar movement where you get the shin up. Right, you have to do it. But immediately, what Pat Sabatini does is he steps the other leg forward. Okay, he doesn't place it out randomly in the mat. He steps it out forward, and he pushes off of it, and he walks. He gets up like a man. Okay, that's what you got to do. You got to get up. It's hard. You're bearing all that weight, but it's what you have to do. Now, really, what Tucker should have done is, I don't know if his left knee is in the correct position or not. Okay, so he moved it over, because I was just about to say, I think maybe he should move that over. Once you see that hand hit the mat, I think you should move over. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Okay, so that's good. But once Pat Sabatini's building base like he is right here, you got to put that left hook in my opinion. I think you got to put that left hook in now. I noticed that Pat Sabatini right here has a right overhook, and that might be contributing to his decision not to put that hook in. But you got to be hooking with the left leg, like what I was showing earlier with Pat, where like, you know, you got to get some sort of control of the legs here. You can't just wrap the body like this, because Pat just gets up and he pummels the underhook and he gets off the fence like right away. Oh, let's look at this one really quick. What the hell? How do you even? What do you even make of this? Like, I got to get good at this stuff. I got to know how to do this. This is just insane. Pat Sabatini's got him against the fence. He's over under. How are you doing this, man? I got to get a private lesson with this guy. And then, yeah, for shits and giggles, I got Rosas Jr. going for the same guillotine, and Christian Rodriguez jumping over, guys. This is what you want to do if somebody's going for that guillotine. This is something you need to be good at for MMA, because this is a common escape. See how he's grabbing? It's all about this grip right here, right? Christian Rodriguez has that grip on Raul Rosas's leg, and the second that Rosas pulls, Christian he's putting his elbow and his knee together once he has that grip. That's the important thing. You see how Christian's got, sorry, I'm doing a terrible job with this. Christian's got his elbow and knee together. I mean, that's not really elbow knee, it's like elbow quad, but it's close enough, like it's getting the job done. He puts that together, and then he puts his legs together because he doesn't want any room for any hooks. And then he falls to the side. Very beautifully done. This is what you want to do. Christian Rodriguez showing it perfectly. That's what you want to do once you fall to the side like that, okay? You don't want to be, you don't want to be getting caught in no guillotines. Can we see this guillotine? He comes up. Let's see. Yeah, see how he's gripping on the quad? Like, he's lost the knee, okay? You want that knee. You don't want them to pull guillotine from here. Now, once he does pull guillotine from here, you do need to roll through. But once you do that roll, I want to see you having frames on the hip before you do that. Now, maybe that might not have been possible, or this was an arm and guillotine. I don't know. Like, it might have been too difficult. It might not have been possible, but that's what you're thinking about once you're defending the guillotine. Why? You gotta have... You gotta be doing one of two things when you're defending the guillotine. You have to be fighting the hands like very effectively, or fighting the hips. You can't let them have hip to hip connection and win the hand. If they win the hip fight and they win the hip to hip connection, it's gonna be night night. You're gonna have to tap. Now with this one, I don't know what exactly happened, because Tucker didn't fight the hands nor the hips. He just rolled, and Pat stuck with him. So Tucker really didn't do anything to escape this. And that I know of, but I think maybe Pat just never had it. At some point he lost it, or maybe he went for that transition that I talked about, but he messed it up. Like, his timing was wrong, or his hand just slipped a little bit. I'm not too sure, but ultimately this right here, this is just a beautiful sequence. As he comes to his knees, he comes over and gets that hook. And yeah, you'll see that Tucker abandons the hook. But once we come back and the tables were turned, and yeah, once the tables are turned, I think Pat kept the hook. Let's see. Yes, he kept the hook and he stepped forward. And I think that's what you want to do. You want to keep that hook. He needs an overhook. You need it. Yeah, that's honestly what I think. Honestly, like keep the pinch, keep that headlock frame. And then once you go to get up, don't let him get his head behind there like that. You either need an overhook. I don't realistically think he can get an overhook here, but I do think he can put his hand on the back of his head and be pushing that Pat's head down as he gets up. Maybe, I don't know. Keep in mind, I'm not a professional MMA fighter. I'm not even. I mean, I do believe I have good grappling, good wrestling, good understanding of stuff like this, but I'm learning. I'm just trying to figure this all out. These guys are way better than I am. I like seriously, these guys are on another level than I am, for sure. No doubt in my mind. But I am trying to be as obsessed with this as I can possibly be. And this is just beautiful work. This is the biggest thing I learned from him. This pummeling that he's doing, this game he's playing, and then the underhook is there, and he goes right to mount, and Laramie just folds, and he gives up the handcuff, and he gives up that hook, and back against the fence. It's like Pat Sabatini's good, ladies and gentlemen. He's good, but he can't beat Gavin Tucker. Uh, Gavin Tucker will beat him. He hasn't fought a guy like Gavin Tucker before. I've been watching this guy. I've been watching this cat. I respect Pat Sabatini. I respect him. He's great. He's great. He's a great rider. I've learned so much from watching this cat. And yeah, I love this guy. I can't wait to see him fight and win fights. But Gavin Tucker is not the fight for Pat Sabatini. Gavin Tucker is striking and movement is on a different level, and Gavin Tucker's on another level. Every aspect of that guy's game. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, against the fence, holding people down, getting up. Uh, he's a maniac. He's a genius, and he will beat Pat Sabatini when they fight. So that's all my thoughts on this. Um, if you disagreed with anything or you have anything to add or whatever, like let me know, my guy. Let me know. I want to know. Like I said, I'm here. I'm learning. I'm trying to figure this out. I want to be a pro. I want to be good. So don't be shy. All right. Thanks a lot for watching.